Hey, buddy.
Oh man, how's it going?
Just Carson Soucy getting the assist on the game winner and JT Miller scoring the empty netter.
Oh man, if that game summed up the Canucks season perfectly. Um a season plagued by injury woes, not being able to defend the rush, and just kind of bad luck all around. And yeah, you know, none of that is on Lankinen at all. Um the Fox goal, DeBrusque gets beat to the puck on the boards.
Mhm.
He's having a tough week defensively. Then Brodzinski's first goal, Joshua just for whatever reason is on the back check, shoulder to shoulder with him, and then just lets him go to the front of the net when Forbert is trying to play defense. That's Joshua needs to stay with that guy, but that's a winger mentality. I know there was talks of like putting him into center or something with Rev Trev. You and him were kind of talking about that, but it's like you see a play like that, a center stays with that guy. Joshua peels off, tries to go to his defenseman. That leaves Brodzinski wide open.
Mhm.
Um, and then on the next one, Keandre Miller's goal. That one is kind of similar, where they don't really reload the forwards, and everyone's just kind of lost out there. That comes with the injuries. You don't know who's coming out, who's playing with who. Except for the top guys, they're kind of know who they're playing with. But when you get down now into your bottom six, when you only have 10 forwards left on the bench, it's like who's going out there, who's with who. It's like you're just yelling names as a coach, and guys are getting lost in their own end. And then Brodzinski's second goal, Sherwood loses this check and kind of lets him go as well with a stumble, and then he's wide open for another pass. And Canucks just were skating uphill this whole game. They outplayed the hell out of them. Shesterkin got his team fired up by going after DeBrusque there and taking that roughing, or not DeBrusque, Sherwood, taking that roughing penalty. He was doing his best to get his team fired up, and they capitalized on all their chances. Their chances that found the back of the net. The Canucks battled hard for only having 10 forwards left. I mean, Hughes, I can't believe the speed he still had at the end of that game. Besser again trying to earn those 8 years. um, and the thing with Besser too is like I have no problem paying him this $8 million. I just don't want to pay him that for 8 years. Um, but he's working on making it a case. So we'll see how he carries the weight of basically being the guy with if Pedersen is out for any extended period of time. I mean, you can pretty much kiss any hopes of making a wild card spot goodbye. Our centers will basically be AHL. Losing Hoglander as well. I mean, you're probably bringing in Carlson, and you're probably bringing Ratu up from Abbotsford, and your forward lineup is suddenly looking pretty AHL. To be pushing for a playoff spot this late in the season. It's going to be a tough go. Um, just an unlucky game, injuries, bounces, and just a couple of mistakes that New York capitalized on.
Yeah, I've got the time on ice on the screen right now. Pedersen and Hoglander playing 750 in 7 minutes. Not seeing a lot of action in that second period. I think they both only played like 5 and 7 shifts or something like that in that period. So, like you said, suddenly you're down to 10 forwards and all, and you're like, all right, whoever, guy comes to the bench and they're just like, I was playing center, and then the next guy jumps on, right?
Yeah, no, it's tough on the guys, tough on the coaches too to like decide who to send out there, who to deploy. You have to completely abandon anything, and the injury to Pedersen coming at like the worst possible time when you're about to get a big power play and then 11 seconds on a 5-on-3, and Really tough to run your number one power play when you don't have your top center out there, who has really been finding his game on the power play, and that top line was really clicking. And just when it looked like, things were starting to look up and the Canucks were moving in the right direction, the injury bug rears its ugly head again. And yeah, I don't know how serious this stuff is going to be. But for him to not be able to come back for the third period after thinking maybe he could have in the second is concerning.
I'm just gonna tell myself that the only reason they didn't make it back to the game was because the walk to the locker room is so long that they just didn't have time to get to the locker room and back.
Fair. Yep. We'll go with that.
Did you see the stats for the Rangers in the hit column?
Yeah.
56.
I mean, that's not surprising given how dominant the Canucks were for a lot of this game in puck possession. I mean, the Rangers were chasing probably 90% of this game. The 10% they had control, they got all four chances into the back of the net. Other than those chances, pretty easy night for Lankinen overall. The Canucks were the far better team, but when you get down two guys, it's really tough to shuffle that lineup and keep everyone fresh, especially when you're playing a team that's going to play you that physically. Yeah, just a real tough loss on that one on all fronts.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, even though you had players like Besser, doing his thing, tying things up, and just a giant letdown, like you said, Sherwood missing his check. That seems to be the common theme, right? Like the Canucks have been struggling when it comes to rush plays, and these are the perfect examples. Tyler Myers last game fading away, forgetting that he's got a Norris defenseman on the other side. He doesn't need to help him out, and then Dakota Joshua and Sherwood, who are both supposed to be very responsible back there, doing the exact same thing, just losing their checks. It's simple 10-bit hockey stuff.
Yeah, and it's I don't know if it's miscommunication or if they're just told that they're as wingers you don't go below the hash marks or what, because it feels like they peel off at the same point. Like if you watch kind of those two goal visualizers for both Brodzinski goals, both Joshua and Sherwood kind of peel off at the same spot. And it's almost like they're coached to do that. But they're not communicating with the defenders that's happening. The defenders chasing the puck behind the net, and New York has a guy wide open in front on 3 of their 5 goals. So that's that's a tough way to live. That's when zone defense. New York plays a man-on-man defense, and you can see how you generate odd man rushes against them. You beat one guy, and then you've basically got a high-quality scoring chance. And that's why the Canucks were able to generate as many shots as they were today, because Hughes was just walking everybody. I mean, he sent Rempe's ankles back to the AHL on that first goal. But then you also turn around, and they can then send their rush out faster. And the Canucks play a more zone defense where guys have their spots and they kind of shuffle around and fill the holes. But when you do that and you lose your man, if the holes aren't being filled fast enough, it leaves you vulnerable to those kind of scoring plays off the rush. And that's what we saw tonight, was the quick strike. Pretty much every goal off the rush, except for the one, the Adam Fox shot from the point.
I just pulled up the face-off percentages for the Canucks. Pius Suter had a good night, 14 for 20, 70%. Elias Pettersson was having a good night before he left. He was 5 for 7, 70%. Teddy Bluger, the low man, he only had 33%. He was 4 for 12. He looked terrible in the face-off draw. And the worst part is that they couldn't even put him in as on a defensive draw. Defensively, he only took one draw in the defensive zone, because it's pretty clear that Tocchet doesn't trust Bluger to take a faceoff in the defensive zone, and he's the guy you want. He theoretically should be the guy you have out there in a defensive zone draw, but it just seems like he's completely forgot how to take a faceoff these days.
Yeah, I don't know if they need to call up Coach Manny for a practice and just get him to help with faceoffs, because I mean we all know what his main skill set was from his years with the Canucks. And it's just real frustrating to not have that guy like he used to have, like Bo Horvat, go out, win that defensive zone draw, right? Like he was a go-to guy and just so important in that sense. And when you don't really have that guy, and you're really unsure a lot of times on in your own end, that's tough. Um, so yeah, that was a big problem last game too. Was the defensive zone draws? I think, remember, at the Suter was 15% and Bluger was 18%. So and that was overall, not just defensive end. So yeah, definitely an area that the Canucks need to improve on. And obviously, the loss of Pettersson is just going to hurt the center even more. It's going to hurt the Canucks playoff race. It's going to hurt the Abbotsford Canucks playoff race, who are also in their own right trying to position themselves well going into the playoffs in a couple of weeks here.
We got a away game, so we're gonna look at the 3 stars, Dustin. What are your predictions for what the people at MSG have done for the 3 stars of a 5-3 Rangers win?
The 3 stars tonight, you probably got Johnny Brodzinski, your first star for 2 goals, one being the game winner. You probably got they probably gave JT Miller a star for having a goal and an assist, even though his goal was an empty netter.
Mm-hmm.
And because he was playing against his former team, so they were probably like, "Oh, JT Miller had such a great game." And to be fair, he did have a pretty good game. He was kind of being a pest there to Petey and Hughes. You could see he took a couple of freebie shots there when he could, but and then third star, I mean, Shesterkin did make 36 saves or 37 saves. They credited the Canucks with an extra shot here late, so I'd probably go him as well.
Yeah, you nailed it. First star is Brodzinski, second star is Shesterkin, third star is JT Miller. So, yeah, you
I know
called it
those.
properly.
I know the away media, man. It's just they're so predictable.
Yeah, and I mean, I can see Shesterkin getting one, but at the same time, like JT Miller, I felt like JT Miller's game actually improved once Pettersson was out of the game, which is kind of funny thing to say. Did you also notice Carson Soucy with the assist on that Brodzinski go-ahead goal?
Yeah, yes.
Canucks logic.
I mean, it was just the most unpoetic. This is a cursed season Canucks game that we could ever have. Like it just felt like that game felt like the end almost. You know, like we've been working hard. Tough loss against Utah, a real tough loss in overtime against St. Louis, and then coming into this one, controlled the game, like really should have won this game, and just for whatever reason couldn't lock it down defensively and help out Lankinen when he needed it, because he stopped the ones he had to stop, and unfortunately didn't really have a chance on any of the other ones. Yeah, just a tough one, man. Tough one. I'm sad.
Mulder Scully saying, "I love your channel, but for your own mental health wellness, I think you should pick a new team."
No kidding.
Well, if they don't make the playoffs, then we're gonna have to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can pretty much guarantee I not giving it 100% guarantee, but I have a strong inclination that they will be trading their first round draft pick for an established top center in the league this offseason. It's a very shallow draft, and the Canucks cannot afford to draft a center, develop him, and hope that he is a top 2C in the NHL at the NHL level. It's just not something they can afford to do right now, especially with where Hughes is at and his contract timing. They need to get better fast, and that will be pretty much the only way with a very thin UFA market in the center department as well. I mean, really the only one that would be worth throwing any substantial money at is Sam Bennett, and it's still up in the air whether he's going to re-sign a friendly deal with Florida or if he's going to test the free agency market. So I would almost guarantee that we see a trade made by the Canucks at the draft.
Hashtag bring back Bo.
I mean, that's the thing is as crazy as that sounds, he is exactly the center that the Canucks need. And if Bo never wore the C, does anyone ever complain about the way Bo Horvat played hockey? The one knock that, Canucks fans tend to find this with whatever player leaves or in whatever manner they leave, they always try to find one thing that they just stick to. And it's like, well, he never stuck up for his teammates. And it's like, well, lots of players don't stick up for their teammates. It's like, just because he wears the C doesn't mean that's the type of game that he plays. He won important faceoffs constantly. He was incredibly clutch on the power play. Over time, you could always rely on him to win the faceoff, gain possession, and be a threat to score. So it's just, his skill set is exactly what the Canucks need right now. And that's the frustrating thing, is finding that in UFA basically isn't going to happen. So they will have to try and find it through trade if they do want to be a competitive team next year.
How about we change gears, because we do have the Abbotsford Canucks that we can talk about. They played over down there in Manitoba last night against the former AHL fit, the Manitoba Moose. And this will be the first time we're talking about them that I can actually bring up the game onto the screen here. So it was Friday, March the 21st, 2025, Abbotsford versus Manitoba. Dustin, what can you tell us about the game?
That well, first of all, Nikita Tolopilo getting his third win, a third straight victory, and I believe he's stopped 86 shots in that 3 games that he's won in three straight. Tristan Nielsen had a great game yesterday, burying 2 in the first period. Danila Klimovich also getting 1 in the first period, so a 3-1 lead right out of the gate in this one, and then just pretty much locked it down defensively. Played their game. Didn't really give Manitoba much in the second period. Third period, we had Ty Mueller getting 1 late on the power play. One of the big stats here is Max Sasson with 3 assists in this game, and now has 6 assists in his last 3 games. So becoming a really important setup guy down there in Abbotsford. Really finding his touch with finding the open guy in front of the net, and their primary assists too. So that's a big thing. And again, this was the Abbotsford Canucks' 6th victory in a row. So when we look at the playoff standings, they have now worked their way into 3rd place ahead of the Calgary Wranglers, and they only trail 2nd place by 3 points. So if they can get another victory today, they would close that gap on the Ontario Reign even further.
Yeah, they'd only be 1 point behind them. They have played one more game than the Ontario Reign, California, Ontario, so everyone remembers that. But nevertheless, getting into some good standings here, and they have played 1 less game than the Wranglers and the Coachella Valley Firebirds, which are behind them, so giving them the advantage there as well.
Yeah, so 12 games remaining in the regular season for the Abbotsford Canucks. They are 8 points up, or I guess 10 points up on the 8th place Condors. Seven teams make it in the Pacific Division. I was mistaken earlier, a couple weeks ago. I think I said 6 teams make it, but it's actually 7 in the Pacific, because they have the most teams in the AHL.
Yeah, they got 10 teams.
10. So yeah, Canucks in really good shape. We'll have to see who comes up for these injuries to fill in for Hoglander and Pettersson, but that likely won't happen, obviously, until tomorrow. and so they'll have the same lineup going tonight, and hopefully they can get another victory and keep the winning streak going.
So the Canucks have the day off, obviously, tomorrow, the Sunday, the 23rd, back in action on the 24th against a single Hughes rather than seeing both of the Hughes brothers. Obviously, Jack Hughes' season is over, had the season ending shoulder surgery. Also facing Jacob Markstrom, former Vancouver goalie. The Devils have not been the same, obviously, since Jack Hughes left the lineup. Still hanging on to their playoff position. But obviously had a really brutal finish to the game against the Calgary Flames the other day. A Markstrom collapsing in on himself. What do you expect to see between the Canucks and the New Jersey Devils on Monday?
Ooh, hard to say. I mean, the Devils still possess a lot of offensive threat, even with Jack Hughes missing. They just haven't been able to find chemistry because he was kind of the guy the offense ran through.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say when he's like one forward, he can't play on every line, but it's just kind of the balance that he brought to the lineup was really important to the New Jersey Devils. I expect a huge game out of Daniel Sprong, facing his former team, Vancouver Canucks. He ended up in New Jersey, everybody. So if you're wondering, he went from like New Jersey to Seattle to somewhere else, and then finally ended up in New Jersey. So, yeah, who knows? I can't predict it because I don't even know what lineup we're gonna have coming into that game now. It's been a tough season to analyze because of just sometimes luck being against us on a lot of things this year.
I hate to say it. Calgary is currently leading the Islanders 1-0 in the first period.
Yep. We can't have nice things.
St. Louis is tied in the second against Blackhawks, so that's a good sign. But now we have officially entered the time of the year where we are going to be hyper focused on looking at the scoreboard because now the Canucks' fate is no longer in their own hands, even more than it was the other day.
Exactly.
Oh, Dustin. Now, why did we decide to do this?
I don't know, man. Felt like a uphill climb through the mud all season. And you know what? It's so we are like practiced and we kind of work out all the bugs so we can be ready for 25-26 when the Canucks just come out flying and they are cup contenders and we're not even talking like this next year, right?
There's always
Right?
next year.
At least we got a point. Not tonight, though.
Not tonight. No point tonight, but JT Miller got 2. Oh, Dustin. At least we have the rest of the day.
You can actually see when his heart breaks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Dustin, is there anything you want to say to chat before I let you
go? It's going to be a tough end to the season, but we will be here. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully this gives some of our young guys a chance to come up and almost have like a pre-tryout for training camp next season. Hopefully it's nothing serious. If it's nothing serious with Pettersson, then maybe there's a glimmer of hope. But if he misses, 2 weeks, we're done.
Just like that.
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but just trying to be realistic. And it's going to be a real tough battle from here on out.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the positivity, Dustin. And at least we got the rest of the day. We can blow off some steam and get ready for the game. Are you, sorry, I should ask, are you going to be available for the first intermission on Monday against the Devils?
No, I will not be because I am playing my first golf tournament of the season on Monday, and I won't be available until post-game, likely, because I will be teeing off at 12:30 in Delta and won't be back until after puck drop.
For the early 4:30 start against the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
Cool, Dustin. Thanks for stopping by for the post-game show, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
You as well, and just remember, laugh so you don't cry.
Nothing is perfect.